Yeah, so I'd like to share a little bit about missions in Canada, just to give an idea of what missions in Canada is like. So in some of the northern parts of Canada, there are communities that are very remote and only accessible by airplane. And there was one mission trip in particular that I was on in northern Ontario. It was a reserve where you had to fly in by a small plane. And in this particular case, we flew into one community, and then were going to go to the next community on the next part of the flight. But the temperature was about -40, and there was ice forming on the plane and different issues with the flying conditions, and so we ended up not being able to fly the last leg of our journey. So in good Canadian style, some of the local Christians from the first community decided, well, it's only about 2 hours by snowmobile, so we'll travel to, the community was called Kiwewin. We'll travel down the lake to the next community by snowmobile. So we got bundled up in all the parkas we could find, and it was about -40, it was nighttime, and there weren't enough spots on the snowmobiles that we had for the whole team. So they said, well, I could ride in the sled behind. So they had me lie on my back in this sled, and then they tied a tarp over the top. And so nighttime with the tarp tied over the top of me, I went 2 hours down the lake to get to the next community, which was quite the experience. The bouncing behind the snowmobile in the sled, the friction kept me warm. And they stopped once or twice on the way to check and see if I was okay and didn't have frostbite, but all was fine. And eventually we arrived all safe and sound, but a little chilly at the next town where we're going to do some ministry. And actually in that town as well, where we were staying in a kind of a smaller log house, we ended up traveling to and from church by snowmobile. So that's something that's perhaps unique to Canada in terms of missions, in the far north at least.